9, 15, 21.
21.
Ouais.
On m'a donné des versets différents. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So before starting the class, I would like to request, beg the mercy of the devotees, the blessings of the devotees, assembled devotees, especially my seniors like Gopal, Prabhu, and others, so that I can speak few words of interest on this verse, on these verses. So today we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, chapter 15, text 21 onwards, from a few verses.
Yeah, I think there was confusion.
This one is text 21, yes.
But, there is purport?
No.
Après, jusqu'à la prochaine verset.
Well, they are short purport. Actually, well, I was told. I don't even. No, I was told 30, text 30.
En fait, c'est ça. Hier, on a fait le 26, donc aujourd'hui, c'est aujourd'hui sur le schedule game error, donc on a écrit le verset.
Okay,
En fait,
so we can
aujourd'hui,
read.
on fait du 27 au 30.
Okay, so we can read this one, so that no.
This one, we say 27
Viplavitam svashibiram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Viplavitam svashibiram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritchalehe.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viplavitam svashibiram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritchalehe.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viplavitam svashibiram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritjalehe.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viramani dashananaha.
Vipravitam svashibiram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritare.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashanana.
Viramani dashananaha.
Somebody else?
Vipravitam svashiviram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritara.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashanana.
Viramani dashananaha.
Mataji?
Vipravitam svashiviram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram.
Pratishrota saritare.
Pratishrota saritare.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dashananaha.
Viramani dashananaha.
Vipravitam svashiviram.
Vipravitam Svashiviram. Pratishrota saritare. Namrishyattasya tadviryam. Viramani dashananaha.
So should I do the word for word or not?
Viplavitam svasiviram.
Viplavitam svasiviram.
Pratishvata sarijjalai.
Patishvata sarijjalai.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Namrishyattasya tadviryam.
Viramani dasananaha.
Viramani dasananaha.
Viplavitam.
Viplavitam.
Having been inundated.
Having been inundated.
Svashiviram.
Svashiviram.
His own camp.
His own camp.
Pratishvata.
Pratishvata.
Which was flowing in the opposite direction.
It was flowing in the opposite direction.
Sarijjalehe.
Sarijjalehe.
By the water of the river.
By the water of the river.
Na.
Na.
Not.
Not.
Amrishyat.
Amrishyat.
Could tolerate.
Tolerate.
Tasya.
Tasya.
Of Kartavirya Arjuna.
Of Kartavirya Arjuna.
Tadviryam.
Tadviryam.
That influence.
That influence.
Viramani.
Viramani.
Considering himself very heroic.
Considering himself very heroic.
Dasha Ananaha.
Dashananaha.
The 10-headed Ravan.
The 10-headed Ravan.
So what I'll do, I'll just read the verses until today's verse, without the purpose, of course, because you read them already. Because Kartavirya Arjuna made the water flow in the opposite direction, the camp of Ravan, which was set up on the bank of the Narmada, near the city of Mahishmati, was inundated. This was unbearable to the 10-headed Ravan, who considered himself a great hero and could not tolerate Kartavirya Arjuna's power. When Ravan attempted to insult Kartavirya Arjuna in the presence of the woman and thus offended him, Kartavirya Arjuna easily arrested Ravan and put him in custody in the city of Mahishmati, just as one captures a monkey and then released him neglectfully. Once, while Kartavirya Arjuna was wandering unengaged in a solitary forest and hunting, he approached the residence of Jamadagni. The sage Jamadagni, who was engaged in great austerities in the forest, received the king very well, along with the king's soldiers, ministers, and carriers. He supplied all the necessities to worship these guests, for he possessed a Kamadhenu cow that was able to supply everything. Kartavirya Arjuna thought that Jamadagni was more powerful and wealthy than himself because of possessing a jewel in the form of the Kamadhenu. Therefore, he and his own men, the Aryas, were not very much appreciative of Jamadagni's reception. On the contrary, they wanted to possess that Kamadhenu which was useful for the execution of the Agnihotra sacrifice. Being puffed up by material power, Kartavirya Arjuna encouraged his men to steal Jamadagni's Kamadhenu. Thus the men forcibly took away the crying Kamadhenu along with her calf to Mahishmati, Kartavirya Arjuna's capital. Thereafter, so from this verse onwards we didn't read them, so I read also the Sanskrit. Atarachani niryate Rama ashrama agata Shrudvata tasya dhoratmyam shukrodha hir ivahataha. Thereafter, Kartavirya Arjuna, having left with the Kamadhenu, Parashuram returned to the ashram. When Parashuram, the youngest son of Jamadagni, heard about Kartavirya Arjuna's nefarious deed, he became as angry as a trampled snake. Text 28. Puram adaya parashum satunam varmakar mukam anvadavata durmarsho mrigendra ivayu tapam. Taking up his fierce chopper, his shield, his bow, and a quiver of arrows, Lord Parashuram, exceedingly angry, chased Kartavirya Arjuna, just as a lion chases an elephant. Text 29. Tam apatantam brigu varyamujasa dhanurdharam bhanaparashvadaya yuddham eneya charmam varam arkadamabir yutam jatabir dadrishe purim vishan. As King Kartavirya Arjuna entered his capital, Mahishmati Puri, he saw Lord Parashuram, the best of the Brigu dynasty, coming after him, holding a chopper, shield, bow and arrows. Lord Parashuram was covered with a black deer skin, and his matted locks of hair appeared like the sunshine. Text 30, that's today's verse. Achudayadhasti ratashvapatibir gadasi bhanarshti shatagni shaktibir akshohini sapta adashati vishanas tadrama eko bhagavan asudayat. Upon seeing Parashuram, Kartavirya Arjuna immediately feared him and sent many elephants, chariots, horses, and infantry soldiers equipped with clubs, swords, arrows, rishtis, shatagnis, shaktis, and many similar weapons to fight against him. Kartavirya Arjuna sent 17 full akshohinis of soldiers to check Parashuram, but Lord Parashuram alone killed them all. So the purport by Srila Prabhupada, the word akshohini refers to a military phalanx consisting of, so many numbers here, 21,870 chariots and elephants, 109,350 infantry soldiers, and 65,610 horses. An exact description is given in the Mahabharata, Adiparva, 2nd chapter as follows. So it's at least 10 verses Sanskrit, so I skipped the Sanskrit. Translation. One chariot, so if you want to know what is an akshohini, I think many of us are always confused about what is an akshohini. This is the description. One chariot, listen. One chariot, one elephant, 5 infantry soldiers, and 3 horses are called the pati by those who are learned in the science. The wise also know that the senamukha is 3 times what a pati is. 3 senamukhas are known as 1 gulma. 3 gulmas are called a gana, and 3 ganas are called a vahini. 3 vahinis have been referred to by the learned as a pritana. 3 pritanas equal 1 chamu, and 3 chamus equal 1 anikini. The wise refers to 10 anikinis as 1 akshohini. The chariots of an akshohini have been calculated at 21,870 by those who know the science of such calculation, or best of the twice born. And the number of elephants is the same, so about 22,000. Huh? The number of infantry soldiers is 109,350, and the number of horses is 65,610. This is called an akshohini, and of purport. Om Ganati Miranda Saganachana Salakaya Shakshimi Tanginata Smashi Gulavi Namahan Panchakal Pataru Shakri Pasindu Devachapititanam Pavanjo Krishna Video Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. Hare Krishna. So these verses describe something inconceivable for us, the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is inconceivable because we just read in the verse today that by himself Parashurami killed 17 times the numbers we read. So in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami describes the different incarnations of the Lord, and he describes Parashuram as one of them, as one actually of the Dashavatars. I think it's the Sakchavisha avatar. I'm not wrong. And what is he empowered with? we read that Shri Bhagavan, Prabhupada always gives this description of Bhagavan. Eshvaryasya samagrasya virgasya viryasya yashamashriya. Eshvaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashashashriya. So Bhagavan is another name for God actually. That's the name for God in Sanskrit, Bhagavan. He possesses the six opulences, and one of them is virya, extreme power, unlimited power. So we see actually in this pastime the extreme power of God. This is of course nothing you can put in a scale. You can put all the material opulences, all material powers, and in the other side, on the other side of the scale, you put the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This will be the size, the side of the Personality of Godhead will be always the stronger, because actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead has got spiritual energy, so nothing can compare to his internal energy, his spiritual energy. So when I read this verse, speaking about the Akshoinis, I thought about the battlefield of Kurukshetra, of course. So we have practically the same numbers on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. I think 18 Akshoinis, 11 on the side of the Kurus, and 7 on the side of the Pandavas. So we know the pastime when, in the beginning of before the battle of Kurukshetra, when the war was inevitable, Krishna was in Dwarka, and he was lying on a bed, and it was told that he invited Arjuna and Duryodhana to come and to speak about the arrangement for the battle. So Duryodhana came first actually, and he thought, well, let me sit at the head of near the head of Krishna, so he will see me first, because I think he told them before that whoever I see first, he can ask the first. So, but Arjuna, being a humble devotee, he sat at the feet of the Supreme Personality of God and of his friend Krishna. So of course, when Krishna opened his eyes, he looked at Arjuna first, and he told Arjuna, "So you are the first one I saw. So you are the first one to ask." And he said, on one side, I can be on one side, but the condition is that I will not fight. And on the other side, I can give all my soldiers. So which one you choose? So immediately Arjuna, he chose Krishna, and Duryodhana was very happy. He thought, what a fool, 7 Akshoinis, and he chose just Krishna, and he will not fight even. Prabhupada makes the point in the class that this is a devotee. He knows, he just wants Krishna. Just wants Krishna. He doesn't want, actually we see that, of course we know in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna said that at one point, even before the battle started, he told Arjuna, all these soldiers have been killed already. By whom? By me. Even though he would not fight directly, but Krishna had killed them already. He showed Arjuna his universal form, and in the universal form, Arjuna saw all the warriors devoured on both sides, actually. Except you, the Pandavas, and few others. Everybody will perish. And he added, Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin, that just be my instruments. Just be my instrument. So, so in one sense, actually, here, Kartavirya Arjuna is fighting Parashuram, and he's thinking, this is my enemy. But actually, he's fighting with his friend. Krishna is Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. He's the friend of everyone. Kartavira Arjuna's real enemy is his false ego, his pride. That's his real enemy. And we see actually that before the battlefield of Kurukshetra, before the war, Krishna had this discussion with Arjuna, and Bhagavad Gita. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna didn't really mention as enemies, Bhishma and the others, Duryodhana and Ashwatthama. He spoke of some enemies in Bhagavad Gita, but he spoke of other enemies. Somebody remembers Krishna spoke of, as far as I remember, 2 enemies. Can somebody remember? Help me. Lust. That's the first one he mentioned, I think. Kama Isha, Krodha Isha, Rajo Guna Samudbhava, Mahasana Mahapapmo Vidyenam Iyavehinam. Mahasana Mahapapmo Vidyenam Iyavehinam. And he mentioned another one, you remember which one?
Uncontrolled mind.
Uncontrolled mind, Ripu. That's a verlan. Ripu Atmana, uncontrolled mind. So it's interesting that before the battle, Kurukshetra, on the battlefield, Krishna speaks of enemies to Arjuna, but he doesn't mention the opposite camp as enemies. He mentioned these enemies, internal enemies. And he said, and regarding lust, he said, you have to know where this enemy resides, not in front of you. Pakshi. Pakshi means opposite. So it doesn't. It's not. The enemy is not in front of you. It's inside of you. So we know 6 enemies: Kama, Krodha, Moha, Matsarya. Matsarya. What else? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, and one more. Anyway, so the 6 enemies. There are 6 enemies actually. And actually what can appear as our enemies, especially when we are engaged in devotional service, maybe our friends. External enemies. They may be our friends. Because they may help us to surrender to Krishna, to fight these internal enemies. And get the victory upon on the real enemies. The real enemy is not, this microbe, this virus, or this person who is criticizing us, this devotee who is always giving us trouble. You know the story, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. There was a man, he would come to his lectures, he would come to his darshans, and he was very offensive actually, always criticizing. Devotees disciples were, very annoyed by his behavior. He was not respectful at all. And one day, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he heard that this man had died. He said, Haribol! No, he didn't say like this. What did he do? He started to cry. And he said, he was my friend. He was my friend. Because everybody glorifies me, but, he was helping me, criticizing me. So we see also this, I think it's like when Krishna he wants to retrieve the Shyamantaka jewel from Jambavan. Remember? So Krishna, that's a long story. I don't remember all the details, but there was this big, what's it, cave, this big cave, and Krishna entered the cave, big cave, and it didn't come out, and surprisingly enough, the inhabitants of Dwarka, they went back. I'm always surprised by this. But someone over they thought, okay, Krishna won't come back, And Krishna went in the cave, and he saw Lakshmi Priya, no. He saw a small kid, playing with the jewel. There was a nurse. And when the nurse saw Krishna, she started to scream. Ah! And when she screamed, Jambavan arrived. So sometimes he's described as a bear, sometimes as a... Anyway, he's a bear, I think. So he came, and because he came already, thinking somebody wants, somebody is going to hurt my daughter or son, I think, or daughter actually. So he was already, very much fired up for a fight, and he was angry. So he jumped on Krishna, and there was a big fight, And after 18 days, Jambavan started to really get tired, and also he started to think, who can actually fight with me? Who can fight with me like this? And he thought, and his anger started to abate, and he thought, only my Lord can, fight like this with me. And the Prabhupada explains that when his anger came down, then he could recognize his Lord. That he thought it was his enemy. So because of this, actually because of these 6 enemies, we think Krishna is our enemy, but actually he wants our good. He's the best friend. So the devotee sees that. That's the difference between the devotee and the demon. The demon, he sees everybody, he doesn't see that these enemies, these obstacles are sent to him as helpers, actually, to help him get purified from this, from his contaminated nature, and he sees everybody as his enemy, actually. But the devotee, Tattenu kampa susamikṣamano bunjana evat makritam vipakam ridbhagva pupi vidada namaste jiveta yomukti pade sadayabhak. He sees every reversal as Krishna's mercy, and he takes them. He continues to glorify Krishna in any situation. He continues to glorify Krishna, and because he wants only Krishna, and all these internal enemies are actually the real impediments on his way to Krishna. So these pastimes, actually, when these verses are read about Jamadagni fighting with Ravan, so it's like it's a good way to show the strength of Kartavya Arjuna. Even Ravan was like a sheep, controlled by a lion. So you can imagine when Krishna actually when Krishna comes, he comes to destroy these enemies that nobody else can kill. And even he came to kill Ravan. So if somebody could fight Ravan, what to speak, of Ravan, Kartavya Arjuna could fight and very easily. So Krishna came in the form of Parashuram and finished Kartavya Arjuna. And again, if we take Bhagavad Gita, we see that Krishna tells Arjuna that these enemies are already killed. They're already killed. So it is, in other words, is telling Arjuna that I'm killing these enemies. I've killed them already. But he's not saying to Arjuna, I've killed your lust. I've killed your, I've controlled your mind. He tells him you have to do it. Tells him you have to do it. So he says, that's the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. that after Krishna has described how one has to do his duty in a detached way, and he has to do his duty without being attached to the fruits. And then Arjuna has this question, but what impels one to act sinfully even against his will? In other words, okay, we should do our duty, we should be unattached to the fruit, but why do we deviate from our duty? And then Krishna tells him this verse, Kamaisha Krodaisha Rajoguna Samudbhava. Then at this point, Krishna tells him that actually this is what actually impels you to do your duty. But he tells him, he tells him that you have to control, knowing yourself to be higher than the senses, higher than the mind, higher than intelligence, to be transcendental to all of this. You have to control your senses and mind by purified intelligence. Prabhupada translates this by Krishna consciousness. So again, the devotee, that's why the devotee is fearless, because first of all, he knows that he doesn't have real enemies outside of himself, and he takes shelter of Krishna also. Takes shelter. Prabhupada says that's in a class. In a class, Prabhupada mentions about this Krishna choosing Arjuna, and he says that only what the devotee is interested in is Krishna. He wants to get Krishna, nothing else. So like this, we can actually, the devotee sees even, I'm thinking of Sankirtan, these days, the marathon is coming. So sometimes we are a bit afraid of going outside on the street, But the devotee can even think that if I meet people who are against Krishna consciousness, who are argumenting, that's a good opportunity actually to take shelter of Krishna. That's a good opportunity for me to work on my, for Sigov, of course, and also to find the arguments to defeat this guy, to defeat his atheistic points, So if we take it like this, then actually we take it positively. We're not fearful, we take it as, please Krishna, send me opportunities to take shelter in you. So anyway, these pastimes, we are reading now in the 9th canto, and we see Parashuram is described in the 1st canto as one of the incarnations of Krishna, but we know it's just a partial representation of Krishna's powers, and we know this series of verses, and then Sutta Goswami concludes, Ete Chamsa Kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, that all these are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions of Krishna, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we take shelter of Krishna, the original Swayam Bhagavan. So Prabhupada says, just imagine, the power of the devotees of Krishna. And Prabhupada says it's like the devotee is like the son of a rich man. If a rich man tells you, I will provide for everything. Elon Musk comes in the room and tells one of us tells you, Bruno, tells Bruno, don't worry, Bruno. From now on, I will provide everything for you. Wow. I will buy everything you need, So, we think, we feel very secure, no more problems. All our problems are solved at once, Prabhupada says the same thing. We take shelter of Krishna, Ananyas Chintantomam, Ananyas Chintantomam Yejana Paryupashate, Tesham Nityabhyuktanam Yogakshimam Vahamyam. That if you take shelter of me, Krishna says, if you take shelter of me, then I will take care of everything. So that's another point why devotee is not afraid, because he knows that Krishna will take care of my needs. Prabhupada always says that a servant of a rich person, is not thinking of my need, he's thinking of his master's needs. Because he knows he will provide whatever I need. I'm his servant. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to say anything? Yes?
Yesterday I was reading in a Jew story. Prabhupada said Jesus Christ was a Shaktavish avatar. He wasn't killed. He went to Kashmir. In fact, I read a book about it. So he said a powerful devotee like that cannot be killed, because he was really empowered by Krishna. Interesting.
This pastime is similar to the one where Krishna and Balaram as well were besieged in Mathura and had to fight with Jarasandha so many times, I don't know, 18 times,
23, I was reading 23 Akshoinis. And Krishna destroyed them all alone.
So millions of people that were destroyed. Yes, 17 times. So Jarasandha was not killed by Krishna. Another he arranged so that Bhima would kill him.
It's true.
Much later on. You can wonder why like that. And in this pastime he chose to kill right away captive Arjuna.
Yes.
And some pastime he kills, some of the pastime he doesn't.
It's true. I was thinking of this point actually.
Because captive Arjuna was apparently was a devotee of Dattatreya, who is the Lord himself. And he could not recognize how divine was Parashuram. He sent so many Akshoini, and they were all killed, and he was killed himself immediately. We can wonder how is it possible that an ancient devotee was so much corrupt that he could not recognize his Lord.
Yeah.
Shambhavan, he fight with
Same example.
He recognized, here is Ram, here is my Ram, in another form. He could recognize after so much fight, but not capture the actual Ram, was not the case.
Yes, so that's the point, that we don't in our personal lives we don't see Krishna acting because of our pride, of our lust. Krishna comes in different ways, but we have hard time. Sometimes we think, oh, that must be Krishna sending this person to me, or this disease. The threefold miseries, Adidevik, Adibhotik, Adiatmik. They are enemies actually from outside, But yes, if we are more, we become free from this pride, more humble we become. Maybe Krishna will need not send so many tests to us also. So we should hurry up to take shelter of Krishna if we don't want to suffer. But we see in the case of very exalted devotees, they have these tests, but it's usually to show the example, to set up an example of how to take shelter of Krishna. When the Pandavas, they are tested, so many times, Draupadi and others, or Jesus Christ. Yeah, they cannot be killed, they cannot be defeated, they cannot forget Krishna. But that's why also they show by their example, how we, even in extreme situations, that's why we say, what more extreme situation could be created by Krishna than the beginning of the battlefield to speak the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. He has to fight his beloved. What more difficult test can you have, actually, is to fight his beloved. So that's the most difficult thing we can imagine, practically speaking, Because we have, families nowadays, uncle, and we don't even know them, I must admit. I have my father, he divorced when I was 13, He went to live in south of France. I went to see him a few times. And then he had a son. I think his son is 24, 23 now. I never saw him once. Never. So this is the families in Kali Yuga, you know. But in Vedic times, you know, the family's grandfather Bhishma, you know, he was like the father for the Pandavas, for Arjuna. He was his father actually, because he raised him, you know. So he had to kill his father in one sense, you know. What more difficult? So Krishna created this paroxysm, you know, this situation, you know. And I was thinking about the point you said. Of course, one maybe devotees can have different answers to this question. Why Krishna sometimes he kills himself, and why sometimes he does through his devotees. Through his devotees, I would say Krishna can do it himself, but of course to give the credit to his devotees. You know, I mean, like Prabhupada says that Hanuman, he was more powerful than Ram, because Ram he had to build a bridge to go to Lanka. But Hanuman could jump, he didn't need a bridge. You know, but of course, his strength, he got it from Ramachandra also. And also the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Krishna says, you know, these enemies are already killed, you know, but killed and you will get, you know, you will get victory. Prabhupada said also that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he could have spread the movement all over the world, but you know, he contained it to India, and so to give me the benefit, the credit to spread it outside of India. He said this also of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, now that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was such a powerful devotee that he could have spread Krishna consciousness. You know, a pure devotee is so powerful. He is powerful, not that he has the same power of God, but he's so dear to God that God will satisfy his desires. You know, like Vasudeva Datta, he said, you know, what about all these people? You know, should I stay forever? Should I go forever to hell? You know, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no need. Just by your desire, they have been delivered already. You know, the Lord has delivered them. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always spoke like this. You know, he never said, I delivered them. He speaks as a devotee, so he said, the Lord has delivered them. You know. So, yeah, a devotee is very powerful, you know. Prabhupada says, I read this, a purport that he says that, you know, he speaks about the 5 kinds of liberation, Sarupya, Sarshti, Samipya, that devotees, they get the same position as God, the same form, with 4 arms, you know, same opulences. You read in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, it's very interesting, you know, when Gopkumar is nearing Vaikuntha, he's coming at the gate of Vaikuntha, and he's waiting. You know, he spends some time at the gate of Vaikuntha. And first of all, he sees the doorkeepers, and he thinks, that's my Lord. You know, no, we are not the Lord, you know, we are just humble servants of the Lord. And the thing is that he stays for sometimes there, and he sees, you know, some airplanes coming, some Vimanas coming. This huge Vimana coming, you know, with this very effulgent person in the center, and around him, you know, many servants glorifying him, and many, you know, demigoddesses, and with instruments, and so opulent, you know, and that's my Lord, you know, and the Vimana comes down, you know, and this person comes down and comes down on the floor, you know, and everything gets resolved in his body. The Vimanas, the servants, you know, everything gets resolved in his body, and he enters as a humble servant in Vaikuntha, you know. There's descriptions like this, you know, that they resolved in their body, you know, all these Vimanas, and they get into the Vaikuntha, you know, with very humble mood, you know. Yeah, so Prabhupada speaks about the power of these devotees in Vaikuntha. But he says that the cowherd boys, you know, Krishna is the original form of Godhead. And just imagine the cowherd boys, they are not even interested in thinking that Krishna is God. And they say, you know, that Krishna is my equal, you know, and Krishna should carry me on his shoulders. So just imagine, Prabhupada said they are almost as powerful as God, And he speaks about this verse, Man Mana Bhavamat Bhakto, Mame Vashi Satyamte Pratijani Preosime. He says, Mame Veshyasi Satyamte. Evashyasi means you will come to me. And Prabhupada, he says, they're already there. The devotees, they're already there. So they're very powerful. But Krishna gives credit to the devotee, but the devotee is not fool. He knows, he doesn't take the credit for himself. He knows that Krishna did it. And he gives the credit to Krishna, he gives the credit to his own spiritual master. And like this, he remains humble, he remains empowered. We have all this experience on Sankirtan. One day we fly in the street, everybody takes books, and in the evening we bit like, now I'm on the, that's it, I'm liberated, and the next day, we try to give for free a small book, because at least I have to do a small book, because otherwise what the devotees will tell, I don't want your book, even a small book you cannot distribute for free. So that's the benefit of Sankirtan. You get a very quick realization of Krishna's power. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, ki jai.
Prabhupada s'est réjoui quand l'air est mort, d'ailleurs. Personne ne le
C'est plus attirant que je suis là.